Hey,
Hey,
how are you, Dr. Fenwick?
thank you, Karen. How you doing?
I am doing wonderful. I am so excited that you have joined me. I was telling the viewers that this series has been so successful. It has been a 6-week series of dating over 40. You are my sixth and final expert on this series, so
Wow,
I am so excited to have you. You are better known as the Modern Day Psychologist.
that's correct.
Yes, yes. And where are you joining us from?
I'm actually joining you from the Netherlands today.
Oh my God, thank
Um,
you so much. This is amazing that you were joining because I know
I
it's got to
don't
be
know,
what, 2 in
I
the
don't know
morning
if you
or
can see the
something?
clock behind me, but it says 2:30 a.m.
Oh my God.
But don't worry. Sometimes we have to sacrifice some things to share a great experience together, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So first of
Absolutely.
all, thank you, Karen, for having me on this live together with you. You've just run 5 amazing lives before me.
Thank you.
And very honored, of course, to be the last one on the show today. And yeah, looking forward
We
to it.
saved the best for last.
There you go. There you go.
Yes. And so you are, so let's just, some of my followers who may not
Yeah.
follow, if you do not
Okay.
follow Dr. Ali Fenwick, he's known as the Modern Day Psychologist. You guys need to start following him after this. He is a behavioral expert and professor. So super excited to have you join me. We connected first through TikTok. So, and then now we're over
Yeah.
here on IG and really excited. So let's get to it because we have 30 minutes. You need to get to sleep so you can get to start class tomorrow to your students.
Got an early start tomorrow, but yeah, no, come on, let's go for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So let's talk about kind of wrapping up these last 5 weeks that we've had of this dating over 40 session.
Yeah.
And let's talk about what is happening in today's modern dating world and what is different about it today than it was, like, let's say when we were dating in our 20s, which it is completely different. I want to know your expertise on it. I want to hear what your students say about it, your
Right.
clients. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think that's a fantastic question. And it's a really important thing to take into consideration because how we look at the dating world today
Hmm.
versus, let's say, 20 years ago is completely different.
Yes.
Also, your show is called Dating Over 40, in your
Mhm.
40s and over your 40s.
Yeah.
When we first, I'm in my 40s as well, right? I'm 45 years old. When we had our first really kind of lovable, sustainable relationships, we were in our 20s.
Yes.
And I think one thing that a lot of people don't take into consideration is the fact that back then we had a very definition of what what relationships are
Yes.
versus what people have today of a definition of a relationship. And this is really important because I think maybe in the past, or even you and I still have that today, and many other people in our age group, we look at a relationship as something that we want to have as sustainable. We want to have a connection. We're looking for something more sustainable and long lasting, hopefully to the end of our final years.
Yes.
And I think nowadays in today's world, because the world's become much more connected, it's
Mhm.
it's volatile and also extremely uncertain. That in
Mhm.
today's world, there's kind of like an end to loyalty. Like, why should I be just loyal to one partner?
Yes.
And so therefore the definition and kind of within the younger generation nowadays
Mhm.
is, well, there's many of them, but some of the things that I've seen a lot with my clients is like, well, I want to have a relationship because yeah, I want to get something out of it. I see it as an exchange instead of a connection.
Yes.
Or it's kind of like, well, I don't see myself being loyal to one partner. Why should I? Or
Mhm.
I like to be with someone, but I also like to have my cake and eat it too. And
Yes.
that's something that has become much more acceptable in today's world.
Yes.
And I think let's say as someone in their 40s, they might still look at a relationship from their previous, initial definition, which
Yes.
where I think a lot of kind of friction happens and misunderstandings
Mhm.
of what you're expecting from each other. I think that's a really, really, I think, thing that we really need to think about moving forward. How do we view what is a relationship?
Yes. Now, are you finding, like, with your students and your clients, are you finding that's what they're saying once they're in a committed relationship or when they're just looking for a relationship?
Well, look, in this stage, it's when you're looking for a relationship. Committed relationships, of course, share commonalities,
Yeah.
right? People still want to be. The word committed in itself says, "I want to be with you." But in
Yes.
today's world, when we have so many, remember one thing: we didn't have dating apps, you know. And I'll tell you one thing: I've been studying dating apps from a
Yeah.
technological perspective, and the technology built into these apps doesn't is not sustainable. It's not there to kind of help you find someone
Yes.
to have it's there to kind of keep you coming back. It's like
Yeah.
Instagram and all the other apps as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what's really, really hard in today's world is to find a committed partner or someone
Yeah.
that wants to have a committed relationship.
Yes.
I think that's the essential issue. Is it's more about finding someone that you want to be with and
Mm-hmm.
have a solid relationship with them than
Mm-hmm.
actually being in a committed relationship. So I think the main issue is about finding someone, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where it becomes very tricky because we have so many options nowadays. And,
Yes. Oh, I
you
think
know,
he's a little frozen. He'll come
oh,
back.
am I back?
Okay.
Am I
Yes.
back? Okay, sorry about that.
You're
So,
back. You're back.
sorry.
So we got you where you said there's a lot of options these days.
Right, right. And it's
Yeah.
really funny, like, you know, classical economics says the more options we have, the better life and the more happier we'll be. But
Mm-hmm.
actually, the behavioral science shows us is that actually the more options we have, the more unhappy we are about our choices, right?
Yes.
And I
Yes.
see this very much happening back in the dating world today because of the accessibility and the technology that we have. And when we look
Yes.
at dating today, yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. The dating apps have completely just changed the landscape of dating. And like you said, I think the more options it is harder because I think it's that little quick hit, that little dopamine, that little, oh,
Yeah,
okay, you know, this one, yes, you know, he's great, but let me, oops, swipe because what's the next best thing instead of trying
exactly.
to, yes, trying
Exactly.
to
Exactly.
focus on that one person.
Yeah.
You know, and for the viewers, so if you guys have any questions, definitely jump in. We want to definitely hear back from you guys, feedback, any questions you may have, you know, join in and definitely let us know, you know, any questions. So what do you think, like how can the viewers who are watching and those who will watch this on replay, what strategies can they make their own to have a more successful and dating life and less stressful? Because absolutely
Yeah.
dating is,
Yeah.
maybe I don't remember everything in my 20s, but I
Right.
do find it more stressful now in my 40s.
Oh, I'll tell you. Look, your question, the answer to that question is the $1 million answer, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's one strategy that will fit everyone. But
Okay.
let's keep it within the kind of framework of dating in your 40s.
Mm-hmm.
I think that strategies for both men and women will differ in this perspective.
Okay.
I have to say that because the world has become so uncertain, as I mentioned before, the younger generation nowadays kind of feels like, well, I want to date people, but I do want to feel a sense of security with
Yeah.
someone. So in heterosexual relationships, there is a tendency now, more or less, for a lot of younger women
Mm-hmm.
and even younger men to date older women or older men.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not just the relationship, but it's also that I want to feel safe and certain in today's uncertain world. And I think that what it does for both men and women in their 40s, it kind of imbalances their options in that perspective. That's why I said we need to look at this from two perspectives. I guess for men, it's become slightly easier, unfortunately, to say that because their options are much more open, not only in their own age range, but also in a younger age range as well. This
Yes.
goes for women as well. This goes for
Mm-hmm.
women as well. But naturally, what we do see is that imbalance between females and males in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the strategies that I would like to give
Mm-hmm.
are more towards women in their 40s.
Okay.
And why? Because I think that the options are becoming slightly less in that
Yes.
aspect. And I'll ask you is, do you find, besides it being stressful, do you find it hard to find a partner?
Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm a little overwhelmed. I'll get guys in their young men in their 20s
Right.
trying
Right.
to. So I'm very grateful for that I do have options. And I'll sometimes I'm like, I never tell them that I can bird them, but I can. But I'm like, I could be your aunt. But and then I find the older I date, because I tend to date 50s into early 60s. That's my choice of my age range that I like to date. I find the older I go, the more stressful it becomes for me, believe it or not.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And so I'm going to ask you, before I answer your question, I'm going to ask you, why is it more stressful for you?
I think they're more set in their ways, and they're willing to, you're not, relationships are compromises. You should never change yourself for anyone. And especially you don't feel comfortable, never change yourself. You are who you are. But obviously in relationships, there's always adjustments together, and you work to become a partnership. And I find, at least in my my experience, that they tend to, they're set in their ways. I'm not even going to even compromise on anything. So that the older they get, so it's kind of teeter-totter. Do I go back to late 40s? Do I mid to late 40s? Do I go to mid 50s? It's so it's definitely I'm not going into 20s and 30s, guys. So stop sliding into my DM. I could be your mom.
So Karen, look, thank you for that, because that's going to help kind of provide some strategies in that perspective. Yes, it's so true. As we get older, we're not that flexible anymore, right? We have too much experience with us. Sometimes we carry a lot of baggage with us. Right. And so the question is, do we want to take that on with another individual? And that's what it can make it very difficult. However, if you do find someone in that age category that you find that fit with, that accepts you for who you are, and you accept the other person for who he is, then for sure that connection will be bonded and you'll have a very solid relationship. So never give that up, because clearly that's where your core interest is.
Yes.
But as you said, you're a wonderful, good-looking woman, and to have options in your 20s and 30s in today's world is very, very available because of the internet, because of the apps that we have. We can easily get access to a younger partner if we wanted to. But the question is, of course, the probability of having a sustainable relationship with someone who is maybe 10 or 15 years younger than you is much more lower. So in that perspective, I think in today's world where people see partners as options more as potential partners, I think we need to also kind of update our own mindset. Are we okay to also go along with that and say, look, I'm happy to go along and say, I'm going to date someone 25, 28, maybe early 30s, and I might be 45. And I'm okay to go along with the ride and see how that turns out, because maybe that pool of options that you have, you might have someone that is looking for that sustainable relationship. So I think there's many other options that we, strategies we can talk about, but I think specifically for women in their 40s, I think having that adaptive strategy for the different age groups, and understanding that these different age groups come with different values. They come with different expectations and needs. And look at it from this perspective. By 2025, 75% of the dating options are going to be Gen Y and Gen Z. So they're going to dictate how we date.
Yes. Yes. I know. A little scary, right? Hopefully they're watching and learning and doing the work that the people in the 40s kind of started in their 40s when they, a lot of people got divorced in their late 30s or early 40s and started doing the work on themselves. And I do see that, because I do a lot of, I'm getting certified right now in relationship coaching, and I do a lot of workshops, and I do see a lot of younger, even men, which that to me is like, wow, men in their late 20s and 30s and working on themselves, and women. So I think they may be like a little bit smarter, a step ahead. So hopefully that will be better. So listen, so one of the viewers here says, Roger Marone says, I feel the ones that don't compromise, they are the more controlling ones, and they also make it harder for the rest of us. I am going to agree with Roger on that. So I do find as the older I go, it's almost like a father figure, and I'm like, you're nowhere near my father's age, and I have a dad, thanks, so I do feel, I do agree with him on that.
Yeah, I agree too with him.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then there's La Major, I'm gonna say La Major de Miami.
Beautiful
guys in the 40s want to date the younger if they want kids, and that's true as well. So it's kind of, Yeah, well, I mean, she's in Miami and I live in Miami, and dating in Miami is a completely different savage animal. So
It's like dating in Dubai.
yeah, is
No one in
it?
Dubai. Yeah. So dating in Dubai, I'll tell you, maybe this is also very interesting for the viewers, is because a lot of people go to Dubai just to make money, right? They're
Okay.
just there to make money and work. It's kind of like London, Hong Kong. People don't stay there for very long, so they're just in and out. They're there for the opportunity, and you see that also being reflected back into the dating world. So
Yeah.
basically, finding a relationship in Dubai is like, I mean, it's even worse than trying to find a needle in a haystack.
Yeah.
It does happen on an occasional basis, but I think, again, it brings that mindset back into place. We're living in a world that is extremely uncertain. And when the world is uncertain, we're not thinking about self-actualization and connection as much as we are thinking about survival.
Hmm.
And so for a younger generation to look up to an older generation, well, that's in their perspective, besides attraction, of course,
Yeah.
and besides finding love, there is also that sense of, well, you give me that sense of safety. You give me that sense of security.
Yeah.
I look up to you, right?
Hmm.
You know, and I think that's one thing that very much is becoming more of a trend nowadays.
Hmm.
Not only a trend, it's also becoming more acceptable, right?
Hmm.
20 years ago, I was like, oh my God, are you dating someone 15 years old or 20 years old? No, 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 that's a taboo. But
Yeah.
nowadays, it's like, you know, you should be, because I don't like people in my own age group. That's kind of the discussions and the, you know, the talks that I hear among younger people when they talk to me about the, you know, the issues that they have in dating and the troubles they have with finding a partner that they feel that they can look up to, or they feel that is like an equal contributor to them. So it, you know, today's world does really change the rules of the game. That's
Yes,
perspective.
absolutely. Yes. And so we have a question here. So this is Rudy Silvamera is asking, in your experience, where is the best place to look for a serious relationship?
You know, this is a really interesting question. I'm going to give you a very interesting perspective here.
Okay.
I have some of my clients, let's say, some of the people that I
Mhm.
coach and support with their relationships, and I also have very high profiling clients.
Yeah.
And so one specific client of mine is having a tremendous difficulty to find someone,
Hmm.
and so basically, but she ticks all the boxes.
Yeah.
She ticks all the boxes,
Yeah.
right? And so basically, she's kind of said, I'm giving up
Hmm.
on going through this kind of, I have to meet you, I have to date you,
Yeah.
not knowing if this is going to lead to something.
Yes.
And I'm seeing, so for example, this is a very extreme example, but
Hmm.
then going back and saying, I want my parents to arrange like
Oh,
an arranged marriage,
okay.
right? Which in their culture is a very normal thing to do.
Yes.
But it's kind of like, I don't want to go through the whole app thing. I don't want to do all of the
Hmm.
kind of dating aspect. So, I mean, that's one extreme, of course. But I think
Yes.
what we're now seeing more and more is social networks of social bubbles
Hmm.
evolving more than we ever saw before. So maybe 20 years ago, you and I would go to a club and you would
Yeah.
meet all kinds of people.
Yes.
Nowadays, because of, you know, Instagram and Facebook, we all have our circles. So
Hmm.
our circles invite us to kind of parties and get-togethers where other similar like-minded or similar characteristic people go to.
Yeah.
So I guess we can still use the internet, but it's more through, I feel like, social connections.
Hmm.
We actually can meet more, let's say, have more success in actually finding someone that wants to look for something more serious.
Yeah, no, and definitely, I think through connections, if you just don't want to go through apps and getting yourself out there, because whether it's, you know, going to, I'm the kind of woman that I can travel by myself. I'll go to festivals by myself. I have no problem
Yeah,
being by myself. A lot of people
yeah,
don't. It took me a while to get there. It wasn't like I was born
yeah,
with that. And
yeah,
so I think you have to try to get yourself out there. And even if it is going out to dinner with yourself, going to a food festival or truck food, like we have truck food festivals here that are big,
yeah,
doing something like that, or a Saturday afternoon, or there's a thing called here, I'm not sure it's where you're at, but they're called meetups, and people do
yeah,
groups, like let's say it's a paddleboard group or a, you know, a walk in the park on Saturday group, or inline skating. So different things. You have to get out there. You have to
yeah,
put yourself, and kind of put the mindset of, not that you're going out there to try to find someone,
yeah,
just go out there for yourself, go out there
exactly.
to have a great time. And
Yeah,
that is what's going to attract someone more than, people can sense the energy. I believe in energy,
right.
and people can sense the energy of desperation.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
think you hit the nail right on the head. So
Mhm.
besides where to find people,
Yeah.
remember one thing that, this is a statistic, right? More
Yeah.
than 80% of our behaviors and what we're doing is unconscious.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we do not even know what we're actually sending out in terms of our behaviors and our energy.
Yep.
And people pick up unconsciously our energy that we send out unconsciously. So
Yes.
that has to do with the programming that we have in our heads. And
Yeah.
if we are now getting into a desperate mood of we need to find someone, we need to find someone,
Hmm.
trust me, even though you're trying not to throw that out, you
Hmm.
will. That energy is absolutely going out, and people pick up on that. So
Yes.
what you're saying is like work on your mindset. So I think
Hmm.
if you want to find the right partner, work on yourself. People love part of attractiveness is not only a physical attractiveness. I
Yeah.
always say that what captures someone's attention is your physical attractiveness, but
Yeah.
what keeps your attention is your mental attractiveness.
100%. 100%. Absolutely agree with you. And that is why who you are. The professional. Absolutely. I do believe in that. Yes. So, yeah. And that is the number one thing I always tell people. You have to work on yourself. You have to be
Yeah,
happy with yourself. You cannot
absolutely.
go out there thinking you're going to find a partner to
Yeah,
make you happy, because they can enhance your happiness and add
absolutely.
to your happiness, but no job, no person, your children, your family, no one can bring you happiness. You need
Right.
to be happy, and that will attract everything you need in life. For some people,
Yeah,
easier said than done. You have to work on yourself. That's number one key.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's very much important
Yeah. And
to make
that
sure.
kind of goes with we have a comment here.
Yeah.
Um, Rula Faruli, maybe. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. But it's at the end, you don't believe, at the end, don't you believe it's about luck to have a good partner? I mean, I can tell you my answer.
Ooh.
What's your opinion?
Okay. You go first and I'll give you mine.
I don't think it's luck. I
Yeah.
think it's working together as partners. And that's the key. The word right there is partners.
Yeah.
You're a team. So
Yeah.
so I don't, it's about working. And if you want to say it's luck, you make your own luck together as a team.
Absolutely. And I
Mhm.
completely agree with you. I don't think it's luck. I mean, look, there is a little bit of luck of bumping into the right person or meeting them and whatnot, but it's about you, right? It's really about you and what you send out and how you interact with the other person. Um,
Yes.
and that's really core. So maybe luck plays a little role in terms of just kind of meeting the right person.
Yes.
But it really depends on yourself. It really depends on what you're throwing out there, who you are, how you engage with, and also understanding. And I think probably you've discussed this in your other previous shows with the other coaches. But one thing that I think is really important is really building yourself. Know that we're not perfect. You and I are not perfect. We are all not perfect.
Mhm.
We have really good traits,
Yeah.
but we also have aspects about ourselves that are not that great. And so sometimes when we go into relationships, we also have to be cognizant that we might have an attachment issue, or we might have come out of some bad experiences, and
Mhm.
that might affect us in terms of how we look at the world and how we make choices of partners. And so when we have some experience, then it's also really good to reflect on that, being vulnerable to yourself and saying, yes, I'm not the perfect person, but what can I do to make myself better? Because when I make myself better and I meet that person's going to be there for me as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I always say every relationship that you're in, or situationship, or every even person that you've gone maybe on one or
Yeah,
two dates, you need to know, like, what was that lesson, even if it was, a nice dinner, but you didn't have that connection, but what was that
yeah,
lesson in that to allow yourself to grow?
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly,
absolutely. You're able
absolutely.
to grow from that. So,
I
um,
love that you said situationship. These kind of like some of the things that I use in my TikTok as well, right? I kind of try to
yes,
get the modern dating jargon out there. And one of the
yes,
things that I do is I try to look at what's emerging in people's behaviors, right, in the dating.
yes,
And some people, a lot of people come into me and they say, well, that's not scientific. I said, well, it hasn't been, scientific method hasn't been applied to investigate it, but you can see it emerging as behavioral phenomena, which I
yes.
find very interesting. And so this kind of terms as situationships and breadcrumbing and
Oh,
cookie jarring and
cookie jarring. What
ghost.
is cookie
Have you
jarring?
never heard of cookie jarring before?
No. Teach me, professor.
we should do a whole episode on like the 7,
Yes.
most dating phenomena. Cookie jarring very quickly then, because probably some of your, people joining today will have some questions. But cookie jarring is basically keeping someone, in just giving them, keeping them away from everyone around you. So you cookie jar them. And so basically you probably have another partner, you probably, you've got another life, and you want to be with that one date or that one hookup, but you actually just you cookie jar them. You kind of put them away and you take them out when you want to have them, and you put them back up and you don't meet with them, outside. And so, yeah, there's a lot of these crazy terms nowadays that reflect dating behavior.
That is crazy. Well, thank you for teaching us that. If anyone's getting cookie jarred, no, get out of the cookie jar. You don't want to be in the cookie jar. Wow. Yes. So yeah, definitely. I mean, I know the breadcrumbing, the ghosting. Now I know cookie jarring.
Orbiting. Have you heard of orbiting before?
No. What is? Oh my gosh.
Okay.
This is a class in itself, guys. I brought you the best at the end.
I've had that recently. So let me tell you what orbiting is. Okay. So orbiting is when you send someone a message that you're kind of trying, you're hooking up with or not hooking up with, whatever, but trying to kind of get into that phase. And then all of a sudden they don't answer you anymore, but they're checking out your socials.
Oh, guys, I've gone on dates with her. I've dated, do that all the time.
That's orbiting. That's orbiting. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. All right. That is funny. Okay. So now I have a word for it. When I see them, I'm like, hello, I can see that you're looking at my stories orbiting. Okay. I have a word for them now. That is awesome. Oh my God.
I think I've lost you. Voice. Okay, now I hear you. Yeah, you're back.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry. Okay, now I'm back.
No worries, no worries, no worries. We're here. We're still here.
Yes.
Instagram's keeping us together here in this session.
Absolutely.
Can you hear me now?
Absolutely. Oh my God. I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Absolutely. Fantastic.
Excellent.
It looks like people are really loving the energy here. I'm just kind of going through the comments.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's great. No, and we definitely have to, I would love to do a whole session on these terms, because a lot of people don't know them. And I think it's amazing. So I know we're coming to the end. It is now 3 a.m. your time. I am so grateful you joined us. If you do not follow Dr. Ali Fenwick, the Modern Day Psychologist, I'm going to ask you where people can find you, but I'm going to ask you first, do you offer personal sessions, or how can someone contact you?
Yeah, they can just contact me through Instagram, or I have like a bio link, a direct me link on TikTok with the same handle. But just contact me through Instagram, and then reach out to me, DM me, and then we can have a chat. And if you want to have a personal session, I'm open for that. So let's talk.
Okay, awesome. And on your social media, you're across the board, the Modern Day Psychologist?
Yeah, or Dr. Ali Fenwick. Dr. Ali Fenwick, either was.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Yes. Okay. Excellent. All right. Perfect. I mean, you guys, if you do not follow him, please follow him. He is one of the best. I absolutely love, because you do it, you entertain, but you also, teach us. So, which is amazing. So, I mean, your TikToks are, I feel like I go through like your whole thing. Like I'm stalking your TikTok, like looking at every post,
The thing is, so I was just going to quickly say, I think the thing is about today, if you can't deliver science and deep insights in a fun way, you're going to lose people within 3 seconds. Yes. So it's something, I guess, not as a researcher also, but as a professor, I've also learned to do, and TikTok has helped me to do that as well. But that's what you have to do, right? You have to give it in a way that people can digest it. Because boring science papers, people are never going to read it. But Karen, look, really, I'm really appreciative for you having me here today. I'm really going to take you up on that we're going to have a next session sometime.
Oh my gosh, let me know and I will make myself available. We'll do a special session. We finished this session, but we will do a special session, a one-off session. Definitely we'll do that. Definitely, guys, follow the Modern Day Psychologist. Like I said, super informative and entertaining, which is the best. I'm one of his #1 stalkers. I get so entertained in there, but I'm also getting tons of information. So it's excellent. For my followers, thank you so much for making this series a success. For all of my relationship expert and coaches and professor, thank you so much for joining me. Without you, without my guests, this would have not been such a success. I'm so happy for that. My viewers, stay tuned, because I'm going to be announcing a new series for the month of September, and I'm going to be announcing something soon. So thank you again, and thank you for your knowledge. Modern Day Psychologist, follow him. Thank you so much, and get some rest.
I will. Thank you
for joining.
Karen,
I'm so
thank
grateful
you
for you.
also.
Yes,
Absolutely.
thank
Thank you
you
so much. Take care. I'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Good
Bye.
night and good
Bye-bye.
morning.
Thank you.